Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Julia.
And this is the Bad Bitch Podcast. Hi, darling.
Oh, hello, Rena. I'm sorry. I was like...
No, you can start. But you look fantastic. And once again, without
know.
planning to, we've turned up in the same colour.
I know. Is it like, is it underlying like we're paying homage to like the Devil Wears Prada 2 and the red and that sort of thing? You're like, no.
I know, I didn't even think about it. You know what it is? The sun is out.
Yeah.
It feels quite spring-like. And for me, one of my favourite colours to wear in spring is red. I can't tell you why. Like it's a very energising colour.
It's beautiful.
And so also we'll talk about our weeks in a minute, but I've been out a lot this week.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit tired. And so I think I needed, to be honest, colour to zhuzh me up and make me look less tired. So that's why I'm in red. But why are you in red?
I was just like, what is in the wardrobe that I haven't probably worn before? And I was like, oh yeah, this is a lovely
The problems of podcast dressing.
Exactly that.
Yeah, but you look fantastic.
Thank you, as so do you. And as you were saying, it's springtime.
Yes.
And we are joined today by a little chorus of bells.
Yes, we should call out that the church bells are going, which I love that I live near a church and the bells are ringing. You don't love church bells. We have different views on this.
Oh, you really want me to go on record and get cancelled by all the bell ringers that listen to this podcast?
Well, I'll just say the bells here are beautifully rung, but if you can hear them in the background, we apologise because for some reason they're ringing today. They don't normally.
Yeah.
And I've realised also on our last few episodes, because it was warm, we had the doors open.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realise how loud the bird song is on the recording. And then I listened to a little bit and I realised it sounded like we were recording in an aviary. And it's lovely. It's so nice to live where I am. It's so quiet and the birds are living their best lives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really are. But even the other day, my mum complained on the phone. She said, what's all that background noise? And I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, there's no noise. And then something happened. She said, no, that. I said, oh, Mum, that's the birds. Apparently they were so loud she couldn't hear me. So we apologise if you were listening and you were distracted by the bird song. And then this week we have church bells.
Exactly.
We can't do anything about it.
Exactly. And I do love church bells, just not always all the time.
And not all of church bells, not all church bells.
But this is beautiful. These are really lovely. And I'm kind of like, you know, the sun is out. It's probably a lovely spring wedding.
Yes, maybe it's a wedding.
The bells. And that just makes you really happy.
Fine.
So I love that.
But at some point they'll stop.
Yes, maybe, although in my experience, be prepared that it will go for the whole episode and they'll ring it for at least half an hour, 45 minutes.
You've been traumatised by this. Anyway, right, shall we talk about our sponsor before we get into
speak about sponsor, please.
What we've been up to. So this week we are sponsored by the amazing Cascade Insurance. Now, Cascade is run by John and Julie Lawton, and they are specialist insurance brokers. And what is amazing about what they do is they are there to really understand you as a customer, understand your needs, and find the insurance policy that's right for you. Because most policies are standard, but who reads through them?
Exactly.
Like, when you compare your quotes online, you're not really comparing like for like because you're not going through the small print. You're not understanding what will happen when you make a claim. And especially if you have valuable art, valuable jewellery, or some fairly unique needs, actually you need someone who understands the small print of what's in your policy and is going to understand, are you properly insured? Hopefully you'll never have a claim, but if you have a claim, what will that actually mean?
Yes.
They also do specialist business insurance so they can insure your business needs. And I love the fact that they're both incredibly experienced in the area, and Judy genuinely loves making sure that you get a policy that works for you so that you can never think about it again.
Exactly.
You don't want to think about insurance. You want to just have it, hopefully never need it. And when you need it, have the right policy. So cascadeins.co.uk and speak to Judy and she will help you with your insurance needs. So thank you for your sponsorship.
And and Julie, like having met Julie as well, she's just so lovely and so personable, and she will literally hold your hand through the whole process. And you know, we say it a lot. There's no such thing as like a silly question, but yes, Julie will guide you through the whole process.
You know that Julie used to be a midwife.
Did she?
Yes, I think that's part of how she comes across as well. She's got this amazing nursing experience too. You know, and we're lucky in the work we do that we get to meet all these amazing female entrepreneurs.
For sure.
And I think one of the reasons that these women are actually great at what they do is because of all the other life experience they bring to their jobs.
100%. And I like that, you know, I'll get on to what I've been doing this week, but I was on another podcast and it's like, it was important as that I've been in finance for 20 years, but yes, I could have transferred into like doing my own business before, but like none of that experience is like has been wasted. Like all that 20 years, I've gained so much from it, and there's been so many valuable lessons and skills developed. And I feel like people, when they switch careers, sometimes, oh, this is great for talking about leaving the past behind, which is today's topic.
Is this the segue of the day?
But it's like people will feel like, I wish I'd done it before.
Yes.
But you arrive at the place when you're meant to, when you're ready and your brain is ready to sort of execute that change. And it's just really important to just acknowledge that all that experience and everything will serve you in that new career.
Yes. So I say it's in the bank. Yes. Like you've banked that. No one's going to take that away from you. And then it's how you want to build on it or draw on it, which isn't obvious straight away.
No.
But it's not like it never happened. And I think that's where sometimes people come to running their own businesses later in life, because they're much better at it because of all the experience they've had.
100%. Exactly that.
So what have you been up to this week?
I have been on the Stronger Together podcast, which is part of the amazing charity Stronger Together, run by Adele and Fiona. And it was a different experience, actually, because I went on the podcast and they are gathering like stories from business owners, female business owners, about their own personal experiences, how they've overcome challenges, their own stories of resilience. So it was different for me to go on a podcast and talk about myself as opposed
your personal life.
Yes, I know, like, because we talk about what we've been doing in our week as we're doing now, but typically I will always make sure that I come from a point like I'm not here to talk about myself necessarily. Yes, we're here to like add value to our audience. So yeah, it was a different slant to like talk about my journey and the things that how I've overcome challenges. But it was really lovely, and honestly, Fiona and Adele are just such pros. They're just really good at what they do, and they make you feel they're really good at that active art of like listening, asking questions. Yeah, it was a really wonderful experience.
Amazing. Were you surprised at any of the things that came up for you in that interview then?
It was, sometimes it's like when people ask me questions and we're talking about like my subject area, I'm good at like taking a pause, and because I know my subject really well, I can just talk about it quite freely. When it's talking about your own self and you're kind of on the spot a bit, it's like it's different. And when you have to like dig around and think, what have I done? And also say it in an articulate way without it coming out like word salad.
Yes, well, because it's a more vulnerable thing
yeah.
to talk about your personal life.
Yes.
And, you know, I went through this when I wrote my book about how much do I want to put in. And I did, you know, I was quite boundaried about what I would and wouldn't put in, because that it is a difficult experience. And then you almost overthink how you're articulating it because it's so close to you. You really want to articulate it in the right way, especially if it involves other people. Exactly. Whereas when you're talking about work, I think in a way you're less worried about misspeaking.
Exactly. And you're kind of in your area of expertise, you're in your safe zone. And at the same time, when you're talking about your story, you're kind of having to check to make sure at the same time that, like you said, you're not saying anything out of turn that would upset anyone else, and that you're also adding value. So, and I do think that sharing your story does have value for sure. And it will help, because it's people will perhaps look at where you're at and your journey, and it might give them the inspiration to sort of make that transition, or give them a little bit of hope that things will change and turn around. So yeah, it was a really great experience.
I love that. And that's such a good point about it. Kind of makes it real when you give a story. When I give resilience talks, I talk about my experience of completely burning out and having chronic fatigue syndrome, because people look at me and the career I've had and they think, oh, I must have sailed through that. And so actually some people have come up and said at the end, wow, I had no idea you had that experience, but also that really helps me because I'm struggling.
Yes.
And so then they really connect with the message because they know it's coming from a really authentic place.
100%. And it's true as well, because I think from the outside, especially with like social media, and that it's like I've had conversations with other business owners, and it's like I've thought, oh, they'll never want to like collaborate with me because I'm like, they're really cool and they've got their shit together and I haven't.
That's so not true.
And then it's like I have that conversation and they're like, oh, I thought you were too cool for me, kind of thing.
Yes.
And it's just really interesting. But it's just a reminder as well that it's important to share like parts of your story that will help others, because no one has their shit together.
Nobody.
But we tend to sort of our brains tend to con us into what we see on social media as people do. and we're all dealing with our own shit. I'm very conscious that I've said shit, and now another time.
I don't know, but why do you worry about that? Because we do swear on this podcast, and you know, there's increasing research that says swearing is actually good for you.
I love it.
It's a way of venting.
How many times did I swear when I came in the house? And that wasn't even like
There wasn't
even about anything in particular, but it's just like I like to swear.
It's funny though, because I worked on a trading floor. So
Yes.
and when I worked on a trading floor a long time ago, swear every other word was a swear word for a lot of people. And I actually really enjoyed that environment and then picked it up.
Yeah.
And then I moved into a slightly different area and into a different bank where that wasn't the culture. And I had to start rein it in. And then over time, things got more PC. I had to rein it in even more. And then as a public speaker, you have to really rein it in. But lately, I think I've got a bit of a who gives a fuck attitude.
I love it.
And so you and we're just going to speak very freely on the podcast. And we hope that the people listening are not offended by our language.
So without further ado, what the fuck have you been doing with your week?
Well, I have to say, I'm a little bit tired because I went out 4 nights in a row.
Look at you.
I know. The thing is, I don't drink before anyone thinks, oh my God, she's nails. I don't drink, so that makes it easier, but it's still just late nights. And so dinners with friends, some celebrations. I went to the Globe to see A Midsummer Night's Dream. Yes. Oh my God, I cried with laughter. At one point, I actually felt like I'd lost control of myself because it was so funny. It was so brilliant. And then at the end of that, I came back home and so our local pub, the Bull at Benenden, which we absolutely love. This pub is fantastic. Most Tuesday nights, they have live music. And they're a small pub, but somehow Lucy and Mark managed to get in these amazing acts. Amazing. So you get really fantastic musicians. And so what they did, which was brilliant, was they decided to pull together a lot of these brilliant acts, including a fantastic band called Camber, and have a concert in Benenden School, which has an incredible theatre. So it's like a proper concert of some of their top acts. And I came back from London, I was honestly, you know, when you feel like your eyes twitching, you're so tired, just hanging.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I really just don't want to go. I want to go to bed. But it's a chance to see my friends, a chance to support the Bull, which is just this fantastic pub that we love going to. And then on top of that, I love live music. And we were, you were talking about last time about going to LRR.
Yes.
And, even going to the theatre, it reminded me how much these cultural experiences can feed us, can enrich
100%.
us. And because sometimes you get really busy with work and other things, you forget to book these things. And I think it's good to book them in the diary. So I thought, I've booked it for a reason. I'm going to get dressed up, I'm going to go out. And I had the best time. The performers were unbelievable. Lucy Mark's daughter Prim is actually a singer and she sang at the end. It was honestly gave me goosebumps.
Wow.
And it was such a great experience. So that was one of those times where I really thought I don't want to go, but I took myself out and I was so glad I went. I had an amazing experience and then I slept on Sunday. So it was a lovely week, but I overscheduled. That was completely my fault. I completely messed that up, but I didn't, I had a great time.
Exactly. So shout out to the Bull at Benenden.
Oh, we love the Bull at Benenden. Absolutely. So from that was a bit cultural. Yes. Moving on to the pop culture. I'm so oblivious at this point to what's happening. I've no idea. So tell me, what's happened?
So it was in the world of pop culture. We had a huge moment on Monday. We had the Met Gala.
Oh my God.
With your friend Anna, obviously.
Yes, but I normally love the Met and I've completely missed it because I've been too busy.
Yes.
What was the theme?
The theme was art as fashion as art. Oh. Fashion is art.
Okay.
And interestingly, on this theme, I would say that the looks and the fashion that showed up on the carpet, if you were to look at the looks in isolation that people served, you wouldn't necessarily know that that's the theme. So before, like they've done, obviously, like the one that comes to mind, they did Vatican
yes.
City,
yes,
and everyone, like you could tell that there was a religious theme, and it showed through in a lot of looks. Interestingly about the Met, it's like it's a discussion every year as to whether you should dress on theme or whether you should just dress in a lovely dress. It's only become a more recent trend that people will actually dress on theme.
I thought the theme was the thing.
Yeah, no, it's like it was because the Met Gala has been going since like the 70s.
Yes,
and it used to be just like a lovely sort of dinner.
Yes, no, you're right. Yeah. It did like a black tie event.
Yes, exactly.
And then the celebs started leading into the theme, and of course they get lots of media attention by doing that.
Yes.
What was the one where Rihanna wore that incredible yellow cape?
Oh, I knew. Yeah, I can see it. I mean, Rihanna always serves, like whatever.
So was she at this one?
She was at this one. Out of her Met Gala looks, maybe it wasn't her strongest one when you think about that one, or she wore the papal for the Vatican City one. She wore that lovely silver papal outfit, which was, I want to say Maison Margiela, possibly. Don't cancel me or come at me if it wasn't.
Cancel me for that.
If I got it wrong.
So this year, how does this year compare?
Fashion is art. I mean, if you looked at it and you just looked at it for like, these are really beautiful. I really liked overall that it was like, there were just beautiful gowns. There were beautiful looks. And Beyonce made a appearance after not appearing at the Met Gala for 10 years.
Wow.
So she hasn't been there. And it's very strange because
Why did she come back?
I'm scheduling, we'll say.
Right.
I'm not sure. But it's interesting as well because there was a lot of like controversy around this year's Met Gala because obviously on the panel and as sponsoring it, it's sponsored by Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Bezos.
What is the controversy though about
because
that?
It's like Amazon and big sort of tech corporations coming in and taking over like the fashion and the art and the culture. But this actually, sorry, my love. The tech companies have been sponsoring the Met Gala for a longer period of time. It's just come to prominence this year because it is obviously Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Bezos that have played quite a pivotal role as being like one of the sort of like the founding panel putting it together.
And is that controversial because people don't think they're fashionable?
I think, Rainey, it probably does come to that.
But if you think about it, there's always been this tension with the arts. The arts needs funding. The arts is important. So I remember, it used to be big tension around oil companies like BP would sponsor things and then there'd be a tension about, well, what is are they having a positive impact on the world? Yeah. Are they greenwashing their money by sponsoring the arts? So I think throughout the decades, it used to be private patronage. It used to be private individuals.
Yes.
And that still happens to a certain degree. And then it moved into companies. So I think when it moved into company sponsorship, there's always going to be some kind of controversy around that. I don't necessarily see a problem with Jeff Bezos sponsoring it. I think that's fairly innocuous.
And the point of the Met Gala is to raise funds for the Costume Institute because it doesn't actually have fun. It is only the Met Gala that supports this. So it is really important. And there were a lot of different like artists, obviously influencers. The Kardashians showed out in force. You had the cast of Love Story from the JK. So they were there. That was lovely as well. So one of the persons that took the theme very seriously and then also put her own twist on it is Heidi Klum,
who loves an outfit.
She loves an outfit.
Loves a look.
Obviously very known for her Halloween outfits.
Yes.
So you was like, what are you laughing at earlier? It's because I was looking at her outfits.
What did it?
Because she's been like, she went as Medusa, like to her Halloween before. What else has she done? She went as a worm. She's been as E.T.
The worm was exceptional.
She's an exceptionally wonderful, attractive, beautiful lady. She does not give a fuck. She will go, and when you think about like her Halloween costume as like when she was Medusa, it wasn't like she was like this really like
pretty,
Greek goddess siren. It was like she went full on prosthetics. Like
she
added
loves
a body.
Like it's like she's doing a movie.
So she carried that theme to the Met Gala this year.
What did she go as?
And she went as like a statue, but it wasn't like a Venus Botticelli kind of fashion as art statue. It was literally like it was kind of like, I encourage people to go and look up the outfits on like Vogue Runway.
Yes.
Who knew if you say Vogue and Runway together, it makes Rogue. But yeah, she just went. It was like she was like the Statue of Liberty. That's the only kind of way I can describe it. It was just like she just really went full on prosthetic.
So just look up Heidi Klum Met Gala and we'll
2026.
Okay. So, but at the pretty or beautiful end, what was the standout outfit for you that was just absolutely gorgeous?
Oh my goodness, that is really that's a really tough one. Beyonce's dress was lovely. I did actually really like Kim Kardashian. She turned out in this wonderful like corset, but it was like a constructed out of like metal corset.
Oh wow!
She did look phenomenal. I also like Blake Lively. Her look is Versace. It's archival. Get this. So now vintage and archival is like 20 years ago. That's the rules of vintage.
Wow. Yes.
So this is a look from 2006. Which upsets me that vintage stuff is now a real part of my adult life. But yes, she looked very beautiful. Katy Perry was there. I'll put a link to like Vogue Runway because it is just really lovely to look at like how people interpret the theme. My fairy godfather Tom Ford was there. He was escorted by the beautiful Julianne Moore.
Oh, she's exquisite.
I tell you who. Yes, the moment for me was Stevie Nicks went, and she was dressed by John Galliano, who I love.
Oh, phenomenal.
And at the moment, John Galliano is doing a collab with Zara.
Oh, is he?
Yes. So it was the Stevie Nicks, and it was very old school, like Galliano, Marie Antoinette look. But yes, it was Galliano for Zara was how her outfit was badged.
Right. So it's also a commercial angle. People are using this as a way of advertising too. But I think they do blend the Met well with, yes, there's the commercial. Yes, there's the celebrities trying to get attention, but then there's also the glam, the aesthetic, the event itself. I feel like they managed to keep it classy, despite all those commercial interests going, 100%. Which I don't think that's that easy these days.
Not at all.
And they obviously have very clear, strict standards for the celebrities coming.
Would you want to annoy Anna Wintour? It's literally ice out there.
No, but I did.
Yes, you did.
I did. I have annoyed Anna Wintour, and I have the photographic evidence. So no, yeah. I've had her glare at me, which is a personal life highlight. So yeah, I have. No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
No.
And I also really respect her, so I wouldn't either. Yeah.
She's brilliant. And like her look was, she dressed in a very similar outfit where a few years ago she dressed in a very classic look. I'm pretty sure it's Chanel because she's synonymous.
She loves her Chanel, yes.
So she dressed in the same colour as as the carpet for the Met Gala. And this year she did the same look. It looks like the same look, but dressed in the green to match the carpet again. So it was interesting to see her kind of like update a look that she'd already worn to the Met Gala.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, she wore her sunglasses. She looked iconic.
I sat in the theatre with her. She wore her sunglasses all the way through the play.
It's so wild because she is supposed to be like, she has this real, obviously, well, she has the whole Devil Wears Prada after her, her legacy, but she is actually painfully shy.
Yes, well, she also says she has photosensitivity, so that's where you're overly sensitive to the light. But she's also admitted she uses her glasses as a defence mechanism.
I love it. And it is literally like, if you think, it's like when you think about Karl Lagerfeld at Chanel, it was always about the grey hair pulled back in the small ponytail and the glasses.
But I think you have to reach a certain level of success and reverence to do that. You and I can't just turn up to everything wearing sunglasses and think everyone's going to be cool about that. They'll think, what a pair of idiots. You know, you have to almost be like iconic before you can dress in that iconic way, in a way.
She's always worn sunglasses, hasn't she? Or did it become a thing?
No, it became a thing. If you look at pictures of her when she was younger, she wasn't wearing them. But she's always kept the same haircut. And so that's also quite an iconic move.
Yeah, brilliant. Should we talk about today, or any more questions? Or
no,
let's talk about today's topics.
Today's topic is...
Leaving the past behind.
Leaving the past behind, yes. Which is, I mean, that's a vast topic.
Yes.
Where do you want us to start on this?
I feel like let's talk about, as we said in the beginning, giving people sort of practical tips if they're trying to really navigate forward in a gentle way into a better life that serves them.
Yes.
But perhaps they've got a lot of stuff that they feel is still quite present. Yes. in their current world, that they just want to start to gently sort of disentangle themselves from.
Yes,
I think that's a really good place to start, because it's very easy. We all say it's like, especially in the context of like relationships, it's like, don't bring your baggage into the new relationship. But the reality of that is our body remembers, our brains remember. And if you've been in like an unsafe situation before, your body and your brain will look for clues. Because, you know, primitive brain, we always talk about in the session a lot, is that our primitive brain is going to scan for dangers all the time. It's looking for any tiny little clue that we're heading down south path and things are going to go south. So it's very normal for you to feel like hesitant about the future, hesitant when you get into a new relationship. So it's all very well with people saying just leave it in the past, but it will sort of it
rears its head.
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins has a really good kind of way of describing this, where he says that, you know, your brain sees something similar and it goes back into the archives, the video archives, and it finds the clip of the thing that happened in the past and it replays it subconsciously. And then it downloads all the emotions and feelings, and then you project that onto this current situation.
Yes.
So one of the reasons this is a great topic is there are lots of benefits from learning to leave the past behind.
Yes.
Because when we talk, for example, about saboteurs, that can be part of it. That's how you can move on to positive new behaviours, a positive new life, or make positive change, is actually recognising the past you've had.
Yes.
The impact it's had on you.
Yes.
As you said, like untangling that a little bit, acknowledging it so that you can move on from it.
And have you got any sort of practical thoughts about how someone could do it? They're like, right, okay, there's a lot that's gone on.
Yes.
How can I kind of just like, I don't want to like really get in like and relive it all again, but I just want to give it like sort of like I just want to give it its dues and then put it to one side. Any practical tips?
Before we even get into the kind of practical tips, I wanted to bring a model into today's session, the William Bridges transition model.
Welcome to Heidi Klum.
Yeah, that would be great. Here she is, just as a word. No, this is much less glamorous than Heidi Klum doing the William Bridges transition model. Okay. So one of the workshops that I run is called The Gift of Change. And I go into organisations and I'm helping their teams get more comfortable with change. And we talk about change all the time. We get uncomfortable with it because our brain wants to be safe, not happy. Yes. It's like, keep everything the same, everything's fine. And so it's a great workshop to help people get excited about change and also learn how to go from a fear-based way of thinking to an opportunity-based way of thinking. And one of the models that I love to bring into this that is incredibly helpful is by a psychologist called William Bridges. And in it, he talks about the fact that change has 3 phases. And they have different psychological impacts. And actually, to be able to get to the end where you want to get to, which is what in the model is called new beginnings. That's like the where you want to get to. People try and jump there.
Yeah.
And especially, I think, if you've had difficult experiences in the past, in fact, one of your reflexes might be to be like, well, I don't want that anymore. I'm just going to go all into the new beginnings, the happy ending. But actually, your brain has to go through these 3 phases.
100%.
So I'm going to talk briefly about the phases, and then I think we have to talk to answer your question about phase 1. And phase 1 is called endings. So there's endings, there's the neutral zone, and there's new beginnings. So endings is actually about recognizing that to move forward, you have to let things go. And that can include acknowledging loss. And I'll come back to kind of how we do that. And that, I have found in my life, is a really important step that we often don't want to do because it can be a little bit sad or painful.
Yeah.
And this isn't about wallowing.
No.
But it is about acknowledging and recognizing and understanding, what do I need to let go of to move forward? Which it can be leaving the past, it can be leaving baggage. It can literally be, I just have to let go of this behavior or this process at work. But it's really important to kind of take an inventory of, to move forward, what do I need to let go of? And I recently had a personal experience where I realised that to get the new beginning that I wanted, the really good thing, there was some loss, there were some things I had to let go of. And then I was avoiding that because it was uncomfortable. And then I actually did it, and it was really a profound experience. So there's endings. Then you get into the neutral zone. And the neutral zone is you've let go of those past things or those past behaviours, but you haven't fully embedded the new behaviours or the new change. So the neutral zone is a little bit of a shaky ground where you kind of want to keep going back, but you're also excited about the future. And that's an area where you need to kind of put in structure or support to keep you moving forward. And it can also be an amazing opportunity to be creative. And forward focused, but you can feel a bit wobbly because you haven't established the new way of being. And then once you've established that, you move into the new beginnings. That's really embedding, but also then really enjoying the future, having let go of the past. But to get to the reason I'm sharing this is, if you're thinking, I want to move on with career, relationships, anything, or I want some new behaviors, you, rather than just jumping straight to, well, let's just do the new beginnings and think everything's fine. If we don't process the endings, part of our brain is going to keep taking us back there.
Exactly.
So that first step is what we're talking about today, which is letting go of the past. So, and there are many different ways we can do it. there are obviously, if there's trauma, there's lots of trauma therapy, and we've talked about that before, things like EMDR and counselling. But I just think a simple exercise is just write down what do I need to acknowledge that's been unhappy or unhealthy about this experience. Just like, what do I need to acknowledge that hasn't been great?
Yes.
What do I need to let go of? And maybe even, what do I need to forgive?
Yes.
And that can be other people or forgive yourself. You know, I think everyone's had either a relationship they stayed in too long or a job.
Yes.
I get clients where they're like, I stayed in that job 3 years too long.
Yes.
Right? And we kind of want to brush that under the carpet and say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Acknowledging it and saying, yeah, actually, I stayed in that too long and that wasn't great. And I feel like I maybe lost some time. So I just think like a written inventory, or talk to a therapist or talk to a friend and just verbally acknowledge it. And if it's upsetting, get upset, express the emotion. And you might think, oh, Emily, that all sounds really unpleasant. It's amazing how quickly you can do that. And you can, your brain then goes,
you shift
thank you, I've acknowledged it.
Yes.
Now let's go on to the next phase.
Yes, because rather than it just being something that your brain keeps circling back to, and it's like it will keep like bringing it up and bringing it up, usually at inappropriate moments that don't serve you. You know, and it's like just having it, even on a subconscious level, if you deal with it, you kind of like you've given it its platform. And you also then get to say to your brain, it's okay because we did that bit. We've done that bit. Now we're moving into a different phase.
And that's where I think sometimes people can be in denial about the past. So leaving the past behind is different to being in denial about what's happened. And I'm talking about acknowledging the experience, acknowledging the losses. And then I think another part that's really important is identity. So first of all, in moving forward, what does this mean for my identity? Do I lose anything? But also, for me, I can see, and I've done it myself, you can over-identify with past experiences. So I had a lot of health challenges when I was younger. And one of the treatments I actually had to have to get better was to do NLP training. I did the Phil Parker process, which is also called the lightning process. And when you have chronic fatigue syndrome, one of the issues can be that you identify as ill because you really are ill, but you over-identify it. And then as soon as you have a tiny symptom that feels like the beginning of a relapse, your brain thinks you're relapsing and it creates it. And so I did all the work. I, rebuilt my immune system, my gut, I ate healthily, I managed my stress and everything. But there was one part I couldn't overcome, which is I couldn't run more than 10 minutes without having all these symptoms. And I knew that was psychological. And so I went and did this process where they get you to stop identifying with it. So you, instead of saying, I am unwell, you might say, sometimes I do being unwell, or I have experienced it, but that's not the same saying I am. So I think sometimes with people's past experiences, when they're negative, they're identifying as a victim or as someone that's like had something done to them. And it's about recognizing, I've had that experience, but that isn't who I am. And I never think of myself as an ill person now because that's not who I am. I just had an experience of it. So I think part of it is also, one of the ways to leave the past behind is just to check how that's connected to your identity. And do you need to have I know it sounds a bit strange, but do you need to have a new identity?
Yeah, for sure. And that I think ties in really nicely about what we talked before about touching your dream, having a vision, because it's like in those moments where you have a wobble, if you can connect into, even if it's just like if you have a big vision of a big life that you want to paint and you want to having like a very specific image, it can be you sitting in a particular location, in a particular outfit, something like that that's very easy for your brain to connect forward to, is very hard. It's very easy in the moment to go, oh, how would this person react? Or I'm this person now, rather than because I see it a lot in session. It's people will be like, I am a smoker. I am someone that struggles with eating. I've never been able to overcome this. And it's like it's a lot as well about not only helping them move forward, but it's like disentangling and letting go of that identity of who you were and having that new identity to connect into.
Yeah, which is amazing. And your work's so powerful in helping people let go of that. Like if anyone's listening who feels like they are identifying or feel like they're disempowered, they can't change that perception themselves. I think something like hypnotherapy is incredibly helpful. I have another approach. I have lots of approaches to these things, which is if, let's think about it. If you're trying to let go of the past, it's probably because, or leave something behind, it's probably because it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Right? And often the not great things involve other people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so this is where I can dig into my stubborn side. That can really help me. And actually saying, obviously, owning your part in it, but also saying, I'm not going to let that bad experience with that person ruin the rest of my life.
Exactly.
I'm not going to take that forward. So I think sometimes there's also a bit where you can kind of get a bit angry about it and say, absolutely not. Enough is enough. You already used up enough of my time or created enough emotional distress in that situation, and draw a line under it and choose to be joyful, or choose to, I think when people have difficult relationships, it's easy to carry that into all future relationships. And saying it's a choice, and I'm not saying it's easy, things keep coming back, but actually catching yourself thinking negatively and recognizing, no, that's from the past. I want to switch. You can change your thoughts. Okay, if that's how I'm feeling now, how would I like to feel? You don't have to feel it, but just ask yourself, that's what I'm thinking now. What would I like to think? I would like to think I can have a really great positive relationship. Okay, let's just write that down. Let's just entertain. If I could think that, how would I act and behave in this moment?
Exactly.
And actually, it's incredible how much you can shift your mindset. First step is just awareness, and second step is saying, well, what if? What if I? What if I felt differently? What if I wasn't defined by my past?
How would I show up in the world?
Yes. Yeah. And so when you do, I did havening, which was something I did after I had a car accident, but it was a really useful piece of therapy. And one of the things they do in that is you go back to difficult memories and they help you rerun them and you choose how they end.
Yes.
So rather than it having the negative ending it had, you run it and have a different end. And you're always talking about this, about the brain can't always tell between the imagination and the reality. So they're making you run over and over again the powerful ending. And I had a very painful memory that I couldn't talk about without crying. I think we've all got a topic, the thing that we can't talk about. There's something you can't talk about without crying. There's something difficult with that, or difficult in the past. And I had just one session on that memory, and now I can talk about it, no problem.
This is what we do, like in phobia work. So people with fears of flying, we will pick like their youngest powerful memory and like another powerful memory, and we will relax people when they rerun that memory. And basically what we're doing is we're getting them to do it over and over again, and it's boring the brain of it. And then
interesting. So is that how it works?
Yes, because what you're doing, it's like, I call it Craig David versus Harry Potter. Because
explain, please.
Because it's like, you can think of like the part of your brain where like your phobic patterns are stored, your hippocampus. It's like the pensieve in Dumbledore's office where he stores all the strands of memories. It's fine. It's okay. So basically in Dumbledore's office, he has a pensieve where he has like these little vials of people's memories, and he takes Harry Potter back into these memories. The way I like to think of your hippocampus is that we're taking that little strand of like thread of memory, and it's like a cassette. We're playing the memory, and then we rewind. Craig David.
That's a Craig David reference. So, I love that.
So we've got the cassette, and we're playing it to the end. And you know when you used to have a cassette, eventually you'd have a favourite cassette and it would break.
Oh, Mariah Carey. Totally stretched her out. She was so good.
And it's like that tape, once it's broken, you can't mesh it back together on the cassette. It's the same with that memory. Once your brain is bored, you can't put it back together and make it emotionally powerful memory again. Think about your brain in like when you decide someone, like you look at someone you think they're really hot.
Yeah.
And then one day you look at them and you're like, yeah, you're not actually that hot. And then you can't, it's like, it doesn't matter how, you're like, they're really hot. Yeah, exactly. You can't unsee the ick. It's the same thing that we do in phobia work. So it's like, we take the emotionality out of that memory. And then at the end, you choose the ending by making it funny. And it's like putting a humorous slant on it. So it dials down that emotional power.
That's amazing.
Again, because Harry Potter comes back into it, because Harry Potter will fight the boggart. How do you beat a boggart?
So what is a boggart?
Boggart is like it's like a creature that will, whatever you most fear most in the world, it will transform into that.
Oh, okay.
And the way you beat it is to make it ridiculous.
So we're making it ridiculous. So the brain's getting bored of it.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I think, that's incredibly powerful work. But to help people listening, what might be some of the signs and symptoms that they would benefit from that kind of work that we're talking about, where they need to change some of the past cassettes to leave the past behind?
It would be, like you said, something that they can't think about without crying.
Yes.
Definitely, if it's something specific like being on a plane or spiders or anything like that, anything I would say that you feel is having like a debilitating impact on your life, something that's preventing you from doing the things that you want to do, is a good opportunity to explore that kind of work.
Yeah, so maybe if you you're holding stuff back but you don't know why,
exactly,
that's where getting a therapist is really helpful, because they can help untangle that.
Yes.
And I would definitely leave people listening with the William Bridges model of sit down and think about what are the changes you want, or what are the goals you want that you've already set, and maybe you're already on your path to achieving them, but look to the future, think about that, and then ask yourself, to get there, what do I need to let go of?
Exactly. And I have just one final thing, if I may. Our brain has this amazing capacity to make peace. As unrealistic as it probably sounds right now, if you've got someone that you really want to punch in the face, or you're really struggling with certain issues at work, or you feel like you're really in the trenches, our brain has this amazing capacity to deal with that for us, and that is REM sleep. So when we sleep, that is our brain processing those memories, stripping out some of the emotionality of it, and making it a narrative memory. So something that we can learn from, something that we can feel, we can speak about and like reflect on without feeling so emotionally drained by it, for want of a better word. So therefore, if you are looking to sort of move forward and leave the past behind, you're getting your good sleep in, having that REM phase of your sleep is very important to that.
Yes, and actually,
don't party 4 nights on the bounce.
Well, no, obviously, big mistake on my part. But I think there is this also point of do some journaling, have a sleep on it, and see what comes up the next day, because your brain's going to do something with it.
And do things that give you joy as well. Again, it sounds so fucking trite. It's like, but do go out to the concert, see your friends, just show your brain and real life evidence that there are really good things.
Yes.
Because it's reassuring you that there are good things and there's a positive future waiting for you. And also it does really help our brain sort of start working through all the sludge that we've got to deal with, but not consciously when we sleep.
Amazing. Well, what a great place to end, and we hope everyone has a lovely REM sleep tonight.
Exactly, yes. So, and if you've enjoyed the podcast, please like, share and subscribe. And if you want us to cover any topics, do let us know and we'd be thrilled to discuss them for you.